still did that, and we could all learn from that. But Jesus went off by himself, and Mary and I finished cleaning up, and we went to the room that we were staying in, and we had just gotten asleep, and all of a sudden we hear this furious pounding at the door. And Mary jumped up and she ran, and this man shouted, "They've taken him! They've taken him!" And Mary grabbed her cloak and she ran out the door. And I'm saying, "They've taken who? They've taken who?" And the man just took off. And so I went following them, and we come into the court of the high priest. And there is Jesus, and he's badly beaten. And I'm running around and I'm saying, "What's going on? What's happening? I don't understand this. What is going on?" And I'm running around and I'm looking and I'm thinking, where are his friends? Where are the apostles? And I go up and I said, "Mary, what is going on?" And she said, "It's as it must be." And I said, "What do you mean it's as it must be? What are they doing to him? What are they doing?" And I'm looking around and I can't find anyone. And I run over and finally I see Peter in the corner. And I go running over there just in time to hear him say, "I don't know him." And I looked at him, and every angry thought I ever had about Peter just come boiling up in me. And I was running around and I was saying, ask me, I'll tell you about him. This man has done nothing. What is going on? Why do you hate him so? He's helped the blind to see. He's given a hearing to the deaf. Why are you doing this to him? And no one would listen to me. They just kept pushing me away and saying, "Get away, woman, get away, woman." And no one would listen to me. And I watched this sham trial go on as these people come forth and said things that he said that he never said. And they twisted the truth. I watched Pilate as he sat there and he kept saying to them, "This man's done nothing wrong. Certainly nothing that deserves death." And the people were the same people that I watched come into Jerusalem days before. The same people that were shouting, "Hosanna, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord," were cheering on what was going on with my Jesus. And I kept looking at Mary, and there was John, and I kept saying, "Someone do something. Stop this." And Mary just kept saying, "It's as it must be." And I've never had a child. But let me tell you something. As I watched her and I listened to that, I was even mad at her because I thought, I've never had a child, but if I did, I would not let them do to my child what you're letting them do to yours. They would take me out before they would do that to my child. And I was mad. Where were his friends? Where were these people who pledged undying love and unconditional commitment? Where were they? And then I heard things that I never thought that I would hear in my life. Pilate says, "It's my practice to release one criminal to you during this Passover feast. Who would you like me to release, Jesus or Barabbas?" Barabbas, a murderer, an insurrectionist, a thief, or my Jesus? Who would you like me to release? And you know what they said? Barabbas, 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 Barabbas. And Pilate said, "What about him?" And he pointed at Jesus. By this time, they had beat him beyond recognition, had a crown of thorns pressed down on his head, and the blood's pouring down. His back was a mass, ribbons, raw flesh from being beaten. He couldn't hardly stand anymore. And they started shouting, "Crucify him! Crucify him! Crucify him! Crucify him!" And I looked, and I've never seen a more evil thing in my whole life than when I watched what mob mentality does to individual men. There were people there that he gave vision to. There were people there that walked in there because he touched their legs and gave them legs to walk. And they're shouting, "Crucify him! Crucify him!" Pilate walked over, washed his hands, and he said, "His blood's on you. His blood's on you, because I washed my hands of this." And what fools. The Jewish leadership sat right there and said, it'll be on our heads. Let me just tell you something in a language you can understand. If you want to know what's going on in the Middle East today, the blood is still on their hands. They need the grace of Jesus Christ in Israel. They took Jesus away. The whole time, everything that I had ever seen with him and through him and all the time that we were together, all of that just kept playing through my mind. And I kept thinking it was a bad nightmare. Have you ever done that? Have you ever had the telephone ring and it's an emergency and you just think that it's got to be some kind of a bad dream? And I kept thinking, wake me up. Please wake me up. Somebody wake me up. Surely this isn't happening. The next time I seen Jesus, they had beat him even more. I didn't know a body could take that abuse. He was carrying the crossbeam of a cross. And he was walking, dragging is probably more the word, dragging this crossbeam, and he kept stumbling, and they kept beating him and beating him. And I went up and I shoved one of the guards, and I said, "Haven't you done enough to him? You're going to kill him. Leave him alone." They kept pushing me away. I wanted to get him a drink. I wanted to do something. I just wanted to get over there, just close enough to look in his eyes like he looked in my eyes. Yet they wouldn't let me. We walked through the city with all these throngs of people lined